Gotta say, I did not see this coming. For either series I'm currently recapping. I was completely blindsided by both of these twists, even though we had some kind of... In hindsight, it makes sense, which means it's a good twist, but, let's just start talking about Exide as usual. Exide opens with a singer being hospitalized due to a accident where she got buried under some rubble, which causes her to have a argument with her bandmates, and all of them manifest bugsters. This is the Spring Break Combining Special episode of the year, so they just quickly shove in Lucky from Q Ranger to fight off these guys, and then just shove him out of the show as fast as they can, which is admittedly to its credit. Last year, I liked how they more integrated Yamato into the active plot of Ghost for the episode, for the most part, since they were kind of contiguous settings. Here, though, making him a big-lipped alligator moment, to echo the trope created by Nostalgia Critic, is a good thing, as in Q Ranger's production, they already established the show is supposed to take place in the future. Thus, him appearing here in the present, in contemporary times, does not make any damn sense. Ergo, if you forget he was ever in the show, it's all for the better for it. And I feel like Q Ranger is going to be that kind of stumbling point for Sentai for a while now, and we just need to forget it exists, because it's terrible. Like, I didn't even watch last week's episode, and people who are still following the show said it was terrible. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get back into the Q Ranger rant, because that could last me for a while. Anyways, 3 bugsters on the loose. The remaining one is their remanifestations of Motors, the Gekitotsu robots, Bugster, and the Giri Giri Chamba Bugster. I only really remember Motor's name of them for some reason. They've all been... excuse me. They've all been upgraded to level 40, meaning they're getting close to the point where, even the level 50 Gashot in Team Exide's possession isn't going to be quite enough to fight them off well with. But, since they're becoming tougher and there's only so many resources to go around with them, Amu tries once again to help permit them to get over their personal issues to just focus on defeating bugsters again. And there's still the personality clash. There's been... probably not a good day to do this. There's been no progress, despite the progress, on getting them to work together. They at least understand each other now. They have mutual respect, but Taiga still refuses to let go of the give me all your gashots thing, and Kagami still refuses to work with an unlicensed doctor or someone below himself, even though he recognizes Emu's talent and dedication at this point. Yeah, this is not a good week for me to be speaking right now. So while that fails, we get introduced to a new character, and I actually have his page up because I am terrible with names, as you all know by now. Ren Amagasaki, who is the new CEO of Genin Corp. He'd been mentioned before, back with the whole thing with the Burger Bugster, except he's possessed by a new 12th Bugster that we have not encountered before, for a game we have not encountered before. I mean, we already still have the whole thing with Parad being a Bugster of an unidentified game that's not exactly... let me rephrase. He's from a game he's from a game that has not been identified as something Genin Corp created, as his personal gosh shots, Perfect Puzzle and Knockout Fighter, were both made by, see, he's been gone for an episode, I'm not forgetting his name, Kuroto, but not from any data we've previously seen. It was just something completely new created by Kuroto. Possibly those were games that Getten Corp created previously, but it wasn't amongst the original 10 noted for the Bugster outbreak. I don't know, maybe it's been seeded for an extended period since, due to other previous lore expansions, it's been around since 2000, so maybe Parad and Ren were previous generation game bugsters that managed to manifest without anyone noting, versus the 10 main series bugsters that from the base equipment were the ones first noted for the outbreak. So slowly encroaching threats that leads to the two more in hiding and no unique monster form bugsters. Except, of course, Ren actually does have a monster form. He is the Lovrika bugster of the game Tokimeki Crisis, which, according to the Commoner Wiki, is likely to be based on the Tokimeki Memorial Series, which is a series of dating sims. And since Ren Amatsugi is Amagasaki, I'm completely going to keep screwing up his name, acts like a Casanova, essentially, trying to charm and act, talking with flowery details, and is very big on the dramaticism and the posing, and I kind of realized as I was watching him that when I'm trying to be dramatic, I kind of do the same, not exactly the same type of thing, but usually just the arm gesture. He does this a pretty similar pose to this several times. And he's pretty much there to brainwash Asuna into becoming a full-on malicious, I can't actually say her name, essentially her full-on bugster evil self to join them in the completion of Kamen Rider Chronicle. So, an ally has now been turned evil against her will. This is something very new. Like, okay, we've had stuff like Chaser, or, who else was a brainwashed rider? Not Garen, not Chalice, Liangle. Liangle was possessed by the, Club Suits undead in Blade. Not seen all of Blade. If that's technically wrong, it's been years since I watched what I did of Blade. I apologize if I'm off on that. But yeah, this, hell, even an element of Shadow Moon as well. We haven't exactly had a character brainwashed into becoming an evil Kamen Rider in... Well, okay, Chaser didn't actually become a Kamen Rider until after his brainwashing undone, but we didn't have a mid-series established character brainwashed to be evil in a long while. And since she's getting suited up to be a Kamen Rider, this is actually a pretty good twist, especially as she'll be the new Level X Rider antagonist for the group while she's brainwashed. Now, this has people concerned. It's a good twist, it's an interesting development, it's a good reason for why she's getting her rider powers, and it ties into why she's getting the Tokimeki Crisis Gashot as the one creating her rider form, because she's been brainwashed by the related game's bugster. This works for me. But it increases her odds of being yet another female Kamen Rider death if they can't free her from that, or possibly her belt having some type of kill switch that her current bugster allies will install in the case that they end up freeing her, or I don't know, something else with which they end up curing the bugster virus that will make her required to go with them which will lead to, excuse me, her death in the long run. So, we're interested in where this is going, but collectively, as fans who are just still sick to death of the curse of Yuriko Misaki and how it's been used in Heisei Kamen Rider, we're very concerned that she's going to end up dead, and we don't want to see her dead at this point. I mean, yeah, she's a bit annoying at the beginning of the show with her switching between interesting character and gushing music dance bugster, but it ends up being an acquired taste. It really, really does. So, I'm hoping that she actually manages to survive the series. I think we all are kind of hoping that she ends up just surviving the series and continue being at the very least a support writer, possibly. I don't know, I don't want to see her dead. But, yeah, that's pretty much it, as most of the Bugster outbreak this time is a diversion, so Ren can get Popey, and with Parad having taken the bug visor, he manages to remanifest every Bugster that was taken into it as death data, meaning he remanifested everyone, including Graphite. Now, how Graphite is back, especially since I've confirmed it since I mentioned it last, they gave him his flowers for the handoff. The thing about this is apparently the hand-waved reasoning for why Graphite is back in full with his human form, with his complete Bugster existence, is apparently once they have made themselves complete, they just need someone else to tag them in to respawn them, and that's pretty much what Parad has done. He left Graphite as dead for the moment because, up until this moment I should say, because he needed to trick Kuroto to continue the progress. So that is why no other Dragon Knight Hunter Bugster manifested, because there already was one that was registered as active. So there was absolutely no way that Kuroto was actually going to be able to complete Kamen Rider Chronicle, and ever, come to think of it, because of that limitation. So, actually that's probably why he couldn't get a Do-Re-Mi Fa Beat Bugster to manifest either, because Asuna was already active. So, one Bugster active, the others aren't going to manifest, I guess. So that's all. I guess that's a bigger danger for if any of the others get complete, as what happens when all the Bugsters are complete? Could they just allow each of them to respawn endlessly as long as there's one of them? That's actually a somewhat major concern now, because of the series moving on to the next stage with Kamen Rider Chronicle actually completed. So, which is, obviously, this is episode 24. This seems like an endgame twist, except we're only halfway through the show now. And we know from preview information that the next part of the series is going to involve the Ride players, who are victims of Kamen Rider Chronicle, who are manifested through the Gashot and allowed to be players due to their infection by the Bugster virus. So, is the Bugster virus, now that all of the main game Bugsters have manifested, just going to be controlling them like, say, Emu's own particular form of game syndrome, where it's going to cause them to be obsessed with playing games to the point their bodies fail them? Because that was a thing with Emu before in his backstory of switching between a hardcore gamer and being a medical student. So, I'm saying that's not out of the range of possibility, that they're using this prior precedent and expanding upon it with other victims. Possibly. Who knows? Who knows where the series is going? It's this is a big twist that throws, I don't say all expectations out the window, but sometimes you can end up seeing where series are going from these kinds of seeds, and I'm not seeing where they're going with this. Obviously, the big outbreak is going to be leading to the potential end of humanity like Graphite wants, but not quite the way they want to go with it. I'm still expecting a dot hack scenario coming in where if you complete the scenario that this is all building towards, that everyone else will be remanifested or something, since they were digitized like this before. Yeah, I don't really know where they're going with this. Zero Dragon Blood. I was a bit flabbergasted at this, as you've seen through the last 12 weeks of these. I have not thought much of Alice. I thought a lot of her actions were pretty stupid and unjustified, and I did not realize the signs. Honestly, this was a pretty good twist for the series, and what I previously assumed was her being possessed by the spirit of a dragon was actually Alice faking being a nice, kind person when she's actually a sociopath. I admit I should have seen this coming, since all of Garo's chief antagonists, with exception to Ring in Zero Black Blood, they tend to be humans that have blown their own personal experiences out of proportion and then use horror or Makai or Mado implements to cause the end of the world. We saw this with... I still think Barago is like the most justified of the base human, base knight antagonists. Jinga is good for what he is, in being a fallen Makai Knight possessed by a horror who was possessed because his son was murdered. Still need to see Yame or Mono to see where they took it. Ares was unleashed by another Makai Knight who wanted his daughter to be revived, and he wasn't a completely bad person for that. It's just things went way too far and out of his control, as he didn't understand the implements that were he had his hands on. And Sigma, as I kind of keep expressing, is terrible. So, I really should have seen this coming. I thought it was all revolving around Adele, as the actual series antagonist. So, last episode I thought her just possessed by a dragon, but no, she got what she wanted. She has been manipulating everyone from the beginning to recover the dragon egg, to hatch the dragon, and to then get it to grow up so she can burn the world in order for it to be lush with potential plant and flower life in beautiful imagery that she first saw when she connected with the dragon egg and imprinted with it when she was a child. An apparently abused child in an orphanage after her parents died. But, that's not a... I feel like the abused orphan cliche is a bit overused these days. It's like, it's not really admittedly, the show is not justifying her sociopathy at all. It's just that saying that you're surprised with this twist? I'm evil! I was supposed to trick you! Which I feel works a bit better than trying to make her entirely sympathetic, especially since, this is kind of a big betrayal to things, and it actually improves her actor's status, because, as I've kind of been saying, Alice's actress is terrible in how she's been presenting Alice, but if the kind, naive girl Alice is actually an act, then it's actually a kind of decent one, because it's like an actress acting like a sociopath acting like a kind person, but they don't. But by the expectations of sociopaths, they don't know how to act like a kind person, so they just seem really, really awkward and kind of like stilted in their ability to express or think of things. Now, part of the problem I feel with this is that there have been moments in the series where that doesn't quite add up. Like the thing with her and wanting to see the illusion of the phoenix from the statue in the lake outside the city burning, so she jumps off of a tower. What would have happened had Rey not found her before that point and come to save her? Her plans would kind of go to naught if she was dead like that. But otherwise, her bonding the dragon egg cage to herself, she knew what she was doing, apparently. The Kagome breaking the thing on the protective charm so that Adele could find her to open the cage was her taking advantage of things, I guess. Or more like taking advantage of the situations and the character conflicts to get what she wanted. Even though what she wanted was the same thing that Adele wanted, so why did you not just tell Adele that you wanted to see this thing and would help him get the dragon? So, like, did you not want him around either? Did you... It's like your goals kind of align. You want to see the world burn because you want to see these flowers. Adele wants to see the world and humanity burn because of what was done to his wife. So, you're kind of working against the guy who could be helping you in your plans. And now that he's gone, and hey, great job for Rekka in being the one to defeat the super powerful antagonist of the series. Aside from, Alice, who before this was, just a normal person. But, the Dragon Knight, she was actually the one to do Adele in. And great job for her. But, now it just seems like this is a twist that doesn't entirely add up. And the more I think about it and kind of talk it out, it makes sense for explaining her mannerisms, but not everything she does in the series, is what I keep coming back to. Whatever. Well, with this all out in the open, Rey just wants to kick the ass of Loop and just free her from its power, but once they do this kind of, like, Rekka overcharging Zero's burning armament in order to allow him to fight Loop without trouble, that after Loop gets beaten down, Alice fuses with it, and I guess this makes her the new Dragon Knight. No relation to the Ryuki adaptation, as she steps out of it with a dragon blade and stabs Rekka through the back. Yeah. Rekka's fortunately not dead, but that seems kind of like a serious issue. Serious injury. Especially as she follows it up with stabbing her through the leg. So it's like, please tell me you're not killing off Rekka, because that would be infuriating. Because Rekka is pretty damn awesome. I really hope they don't end up doing that. As there's only, likely only one episode of Zero Dragon Blood left, that seems like something that could still end up happening before the series actually closes. But hey, at least we have our final antagonist, and it makes Alice kind of seem like a weaker version of Messiah, kind of think of it. Because they kind of did this with Kaoru in the first Garo series, Chapter of the Black Wolf, where Kaoru ended up possessed by Messiah and thus gaining super physical ability to fight off Koga, and it's like, well, there's a thing. And now it kind of seems like they're not so much redoing that with Alice, but it kind of continues to draw a parallel between Rei and Koga in how Dragon Blood seems like seems to be echoing a lot of things from the first season with how it utilized this romance between Rei and Alice. Admittedly, it's obviously now going to be a tragic one, as there's no way in hell that he's going to convince her to step down, since all of her actions are not a result of possession, as I thought they were previously. So, obviously Rei's going to win next week, but I'm wondering what the line is going to be. Yeah, not much to recap this week. Shorter video than usual, so hopefully I'll have something more tangible to say next week. See ya!